breaking down the deals, data, and disruption shaping global markets. You're listening to The Daily Ledger with Dennis Sert.
Hey folks, it is Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. You're listening to The Daily Ledger Show. I'm your host, Dennis Sert. Great to be here with you tonight. We got some good stories we're going to get into. We're going to talk about Meta laid off 8,000 engineers today. Meta begins laying off thousands of employees as it transforms around AI. We've got multiple companies vying for IPO. OpenAI prepares to file to go public in coming weeks, as well as SpaceX AI. Anthropic will pay XAI $1.25 billion per month for compute. Google to release smart glasses and add AI agents to search engine. And Jon Favreau says he doesn't know why Disney made The Mandalorian and Grogu a movie. Probably don't want your director saying that in public. Before we get into it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow if you're on Instagram or you're on TikTok. And without further ado, why don't we just head in? Make sure to join the school community, by the way. So today we have the story from the Wall Street Journal. Meta begins laying off thousands of employees as it transforms around AI. The cuts of roughly 8,000 jobs or 10% of the staff are meant to offset the costs of the company's AI investments. So Meta has been extremely active in laying off their employees. About a week ago, there was a story that said that Meta began essentially like surveilling each engineer's screens in order to train AI. So AI seems to be the new metaverse, except I don't think the metaverse is going to fail, much like how sort of the argument I made on Finance Daily this morning with around 100,000 viewers, by the way. Listeners, that is, given that's an X space. So it says here, Zuckerberg says that AI is going to be the most consequential technology of our lifetimes. This is the most dynamic I've seen our industry. I'm optimistic about everything we're building, but success is not a given. Yeah. So that's kind of what they're doing. 1.2 billion monthly active users for Meta AI, mostly because they just integrated it into Instagram and Facebook. But still, I mean, that's pretty crazy. That's like a dark horse, right? Because you have like OpenAI's ChatGPT kind of not yet hitting 1 billion weekly active users. Gemini just hit like 900 million. So around the same as ChatGPT actually as of yesterday. So there's that. OpenAI, speaking of, OpenAI prepares to file to go public in coming weeks. OpenAI would be one of the most highly anticipated potential initial public offerings, is what is set to be a year of IPOs for Silicon Valley. As part of normal governance, we regularly evaluate a range of strategic options. Our focus remains on execution. So it seems like Elon, as well as Altman, are kind of like racing to see who's going to go public first. Of course, SpaceX is now essentially XAI. So which of these AI companies is going to IPO first, right? So there's a little bit of a race there. Altman's racing with, Sundar Pichai of Google. So there's a lot of racing going on here. ChatGPT has more than 900 million monthly active users. Recently they weren't able to hit that 1 billion monthly active user mark. So we'll have to see. See, it says Gemini is also there. They just said it yesterday. ChatGPT has been there for a couple months now. Let's see here. The SpaceX IPO filing is filled with AI bets, Starship dreams, and Elon Musk is at the center. So this is something to look out for. SpaceX has finally made its IPO filing public. Musk will be at its center as CEO, CTO, and chairman of the board. Nice. SpaceX is now a technology conglomerate working with satellites, and AI has been one of the world's most valuable private companies. Yeah, Nvidia is at 5.4 trillion market cap. Can you believe that? That's crazy. Yeah, so it's kind of goes in. So TechCrunch, not a big fan of Elon. Kind of goes into how like the company, I guess, lost a lot of money on AI. Just basically like I think 60% of the revenue from SpaceX, 60% of its capital spending in 2025 went to its AI division, which is about $20 billion that was spent on that. So essentially, you could say $20 billion spent on Grok. So not a dig at Grok, but that, yeah. And it says the revenue only grew by 22%. Well, maybe that's why XAI has decided to provide compute for Anthropic. Anthropic will pay XAI $1.25 billion per month for compute. Earlier this month, Anthropic surprised the AI world, with a deal to buy 300 megawatts worth of compute. So that's pretty crazy. Of course, we've been following the story for about a week or two, but we just learned how much it costs: 1.25 billion a month through May 2029. That's pretty good. Yeah. So that's kind of what's going on. We expect to enter additional similar service contracts, the filing stated. The terms of the deal would allow either side to terminate the contract with 90 days notice. Yeah, so there's that as well. They're calling it Neo Cloud. So there's a lot of that. Usage of Grok has dropped significantly in the recent months, freeing up servers that the company is now selling to one of its closest competitors. So that's what I was just kind of insinuating. Maybe Grok isn't doing too well. Of course, this is something I brought up last week as well. So that's why they're kind of saying, okay, well, Anthropic, since you're doing so good, why don't we just give you the compute for a massive fee of $1.25 billion a month? Google to release smart glasses and add AI agents to search engine. CEO Sundar Pichai says features powered by a new Gemini model will close gap with Anthropic and OpenAI. Warby Parker and the Gentle Monster are the names of these AI glasses. Gentle Monster. Well, you don't hear that every day. Unless you're me. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so it does kind of talk about some of these models that are going to be in there. So it says here, it announced a new assistant called Spark, which it says can help organize users' personal lives, reduce administration, and automate repetitive tasks. Users can choose to allow Spark to remember past actions and access data from other products such as Gmail and Maps to individualize its services. Honestly, AI remembering stuff is the best feature, the biggest value add that any AI could give. I mean, with Claude Code, at first, before they sort of cracked the nut of memory, it would have to like relearn the code base every time, and then you'd have to like ask it. Yeah, you'd have to save some of your prompts on your own. But ever since they rolled out memory, specifically Claude Code, but also what Google's alluding to here, or directly saying that what Spark, the model in their new AI glasses, are going to have is going to have. Basically, I'm just saying that like the glasses are going to be so cool, especially because they can remember stuff. So, yeah, super, super helpful stuff. Coding will also be embedded. Wow, coding from your glasses. That's a new one. Allowing users to design custom interfaces and build simulations. Huh. Yeah, remember this? It's like the old Google Glass from 2015. This was literally a piece of crap. Like, what is this? Like, who thought this was a good idea? Who signed off on this? Like, what is this? At the I/O event last year, Google introduced AI mode. Yeah. A year later, it debuted AI overviews, brief AI generated answers. They're really forcing it down our throats here. And then, of course, they integrated it with Gmail as well. Gemini, that is. Google has made up ground in the past 18 months thanks to its full stack AI strategy, which includes building chips, data centers, foundation models, and products in-house. So yeah, so it goes on. Pretty crazy. Yeah, here's FT talking about how the Gemini app has reached 900 million monthly monthly active users. ChatGPT tracks weekly active users, which is also at 900 million. Of course, weekly is a stronger metric just because it's a shorter window. So you count fewer users in there. So if we both went by monthly, I think ChatGPT would be ahead, but I don't post that. Jon Favreau says he doesn't know why Disney made The Mandalorian and Grogu a movie. See, I feel like you don't want your director to be saying that. So this is supposed to be the new flagship like Star Wars movie. Apparently the reviews are extremely mid. So Jon Favreau says, I'm not sure what exactly why we were asked to do this, Favreau admitted. That quote alone is likely to raise eyebrows among longtime fans already questioning whether The Mandalorian and Grogu needed to exist as a movie at all. This is just going to completely flop. There was this whole thing where, in order to get attention, I guess like Stephen Colbert and Pedro Pascal had a gay kiss on live TV, and so that's supposed to get people to go watch Star Wars. So I don't really see the connection there, but that's supposed to get people excited. That's especially true as reports continue to suggest that The Mandalorian and Grogu could deliver one of the weakest openings for a modern Star Wars theatrical release. See, I've said this for a while, but Disney, once they bought Lucasfilm in 2012, they should have just sat on the IP. They shouldn't have started to make like Star Wars movies themselves. Like that was such a bad idea. But here we are. Okay, I think we're gonna end it there. Actually, yeah. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow if you're on TikTok, Instagram Reels. Share the shorts and the TikToks and the Reels. That's where I get a majority of my view count, and that's of course what keeps me going doing the show. Can always bring it to you here. Cool. All right. Have a good night. Bye bye.